speak too quickly, please let me know, because I am from New York. So FYI. But it's so good to meet all of you. I hope I do get a chance to meet most of you tonight. I'm not going to say a lot right now, but I love having one-on-one conversations and continuing these conversations, so please, if there's anything here that resonates with you, I'd love to chat about it more. I definitely want to thank Craig, the folks at Planned Parenthood, the Coalition for Reproductive Justice, and Resist Hate RI for all of their work in putting this together. I also want to acknowledge the other incredible groups in Rhode Island, such as DARE and PRISM, so many other great people working on issues of justice in our community. And I also want to acknowledge the Narragansett tribe of Rhode Island, whose teaching we are gathering on today. My name is Gopika, like Craig said, and I'm currently a fourth-year medical student. I'm also a first-generation Indian American woman. And in a few months, I will be graduating from medical school, and I will be on my path to becoming a physician and an abortion provider. I realize that this path is not without its roadblocks. As many of you know, the last few years have seen an explosion of what are called trap laws. Laws that make it so difficult to provide abortions that clinics are forced to shut down, creating large deserts of reproductive care, some of which are hundreds and hundreds of miles long. Long before Trump's election, states, mostly in the Midwest and South, were passing legislation that chipped away at reproductive access. And as of now, more than 80% of counties in the US are without an abortion provider. As I travel to different parts of the country, interviewing for residency programs, I think about what the statistic means for myself and for my future patients. What these next 4 years of this administration will mean for my training and for my future patients. What history has shown us, time and time again, is that in these moments when abortion rights are restricted even more than they normally are, it disproportionately affects poor women and women of color. Those who have the means will be able to travel to access birth control of their choice and to parent in a safe environment. It's because of this that I wanted to focus tonight not just on my commitment to choice, but on a commitment to justice. I want to remember the caucus of Black women in the 1990s who gathered following the International Conference on Population and Development to define reproductive justice, a merging of social justice and reproductive rights, and recognizing the intersecting oppressions faced by marginalized people. The reproductive justice movement asks us to shift our focus from choice to access, to remember that the ability for someone to choose their reproductive future is not possible without their ability to access these choices equally. It asks us to look further than the individual and think about how systems of power and oppression make access to care harder for some than for others. I want to bring forth the three core principles outlined by Sister Song, one of the main founding groups of the reproductive justice movement in our country. For them, they state in their founding statements that every person has the right to, 1, decide if and when they want to have a baby and the conditions of their birth. 2, decide if they will not have a baby and the options for preventing or ending a pregnancy. And 3, to parent with necessary supports in a safe and healthy environment without fear of violence. When I, as a future medical provider, walk into a room with a pregnant patient, I will counsel them on these 3 options. I'll counsel them on their options to parent, to adopt, to end a pregnancy. But I want to know that each of these 3 options, like those rights these women outlined many years ago, are all accessible to my patient. What does it mean to choose to continue a pregnancy when maternal mortality has been increasing in our country for the past 30 years? When Black women are 4 times as likely to die from pregnancy-related complications compared to white women? When undocumented women are excluded from Medicare policies and have little to no access to prenatal care? When states like Tennessee have tried to forcibly jail pregnant people struggling with addiction instead of offering them treatment? What does it mean to choose to parent in a safe and healthy environment when, as of this morning, 875 people were shot and killed by the police in 2016 alone? When Corinne Gaines, a 23-year-old Black mother, was killed by the Baltimore police in her own home while holding her 5-year-old son? When Indigenous folks at Standing Rock and the people of Flint, Michigan are still fighting for their right to clean water? I know that I have to hold myself and my own institutions accountable for our roles in reproductive oppression as well. In OBGYN, our so-called father of the field, Dr. J. Marion Sims, made his name through surgical experiments on slave women. and healthcare providers have been complicit in the forced sterilization of women of color and incarcerated women in this country and abroad. Just this morning, the American Medical Association openly endorsed Tim Price's nomination to the Secretary of Health and Human Services. So we have a lot of work to do. Yes, they did. A lot of work to do. I hope that today, when we pledge to fight for reproductive rights, we remember in the words of the great R.G. Lord that there is no such thing as single-issue struggles because we do not live single-issue lives. I hope we continue to challenge ourselves to constantly think of those whose voices we are choosing to center, whose experiences we are not hearing about, who is able to be in this room today and who cannot. I want us to remember to keep ourselves intersectional and honor the incredible legacies of the Black and brown women, queer and trans people who have fought for so many of our freedoms. I hope someday we will be in a world where all of bodies are seen as valid, where children can be raised without fear of violence, discrimination, or imprisonment, where we have effective low-cost options for birth control and abortion is just another aspect of reproductive care. This is the world I want to provide for. This is the world I want for my loved ones, my patients, myself, and my future brown children. And this is the world I continue to fight for. I know I can't do it alone, and I hope you will all stand alongside and fight, not just for choice, but for justice. Thank you.